Women's Quota Bill. Now, before I open this panel up for my guests this evening, let me actually bring in a very special guest who's joining me, Ms. Shashi Panja, who is the Cabinet Minister in the state of West Bengal. And we are, in fact, really happy that she could find time to join us. Remember, TMC is the only political party that can boast of 40% of women representatives out of the 23 seats that it has in the Lok Sabha. So that's an important aspect. Ms. Panja, first of all, what are your views about the introduction of this bill in the Lok Sabha, the first day that the new parliament has started functioning? What do you actually read into this particular move?
Well, first of all, it was long overdue. Secondly, this was an issue very dear to All India Trinamool Congress and its chairperson, Mamata Banerjee. And many a times, whenever we got scope, our MPs got scope in Parliament, they would have been flagging this issue. They used to, that we need discussion on this. We need to take this discussion and this bill in Lok Sabha. There have been many a times that our MPs have flagged this issue. You know, it's very interesting as you were reiterating and also in a way recapitulating our history of this bill, the way it has come out. There was way back, you know, the first attempt which was made by the United Front government. And interestingly, at that time, when there was the bill was referred to a joint committee,
yes,
which was headed by then CPI's Geeta Mukherjee. And that included 31 members, of which Mamata Banerjee was one of the members. So it is that way back that Mamata Banerjee has been vociferous on this issue, and she has also, in a way, been a torchbearer. Now, having seen that it has gone through its twists and turns, and as you said, 2010 was the first time it could see that Rajya Sabha cleared the bill, but then it got stuck in Lok Sabha. But you know, any kind of political party, if it shows its political will, its intent,
yes,
and that is what All India Trinamool Congress showed, and that was through your own, I mean, charity begins at home, through your own, show your own intent and exemplify. And that is what Didi has done. So whenever it was any elections, be it the Lok Sabha elections, be it the state legislature elections, the Vidhan Sabha elections, or even for that matter, the Panchayat three-tier elections, there was always, in fact, in Panchayat, we already have 50% reservation in our state. And since then, every 5 years that the election takes place, we've even gone through the third one. So by now, we had a 50% reservation for women, and we have a huge number of women representatives who've been elected and also holding very positions of pride in the Panchayat. But besides that, also as a political party, she has ensured that she gave candidature to women in the Vidhan Sabha in 2011, 2016, yes, 2021, and also similarly in 2014 and 2019 in the Lok Sabha elections. So that is why, that is the figure that we could boast of, that in Parliament too, I think we have more than 35% women in Parliament, and in comparison to the ruling government, which has so many seats, has won so many seats in 2019, they have only about, say, 13%. Similarly, we have in Lok Sabha about 9 of our ladies out of 23 seats, yes, that we won.
Yes.
And in Rajya Sabha, we also have a woman MP. So what I'm trying to say is there are two things. Till the law came through, the political party showed that no, I am offering candidature to women candidates. That is also, it reflects good about your party's thought. So it is more than enough to prove that All India Trinamool Congress was, in fact, women's issues or women representation, even in Lok Sabha and state legislatures, was very close to our heart.
Absolutely. And Ms. Panja, you're rightly mentioning that TMC has walked the talk pretty much in talking about, not just talking about gender parity, but also implementing it within the party. And we see that through the numbers and also through the representation that the party has. But does that mean this is going to be an unblinking support of the TMC to this bill that has now been introduced, considering right now there is a crying foul, there is a credit war that is ensuing, even as the bill was introduced by the Law Minister? You know,
I think it's not a question of any war. If you're speaking for the women of the country, and if you want them to be represented, then I think the credit will go to the women. I mean, look at the number of women voters we have in various states of India. Look at the outpouring of women voters when they come to vote. So it's all about gender equality and gender justice. I think the credit goes to the women who have fought for this. And it is, as I said, long overdue. And we hope, let's get into the nitty-gritties of the bill. Even my party is getting into it. We are also trying to take updates from our MPs who are right there in the hot seat in Parliament. And let's see how it unfolds tomorrow.
So you're absolutely correct. It has been in the legislative limbo for too long, more than 27 years. But what we saw happen and what we have seen as far as reactions coming in, especially from your alliance partners, as far as the India bloc is concerned, we've heard members of the Congress party, they are severely opposed to the bill because it's been introduced and it has been packaged in a new way. At least that's what has been projected by the introduction of that bill by the Bharatiya Janata Party. That is a new format. However, it is very similar to what was introduced in the Rajya Sabha in 2010 under the Manmohan Singh regime. Now, the Congress is crying foul over it. I want to understand, this is a pointed question that I want you to take, is whether this is going to be creating any kind of rift between the Congress and TMC or the India bloc for that matter, considering the Congress, we do not know whether they would go ahead and support the passage of the bill tomorrow.
I think that is the discussion which all parties will be having, which belong to the India Alliance. That is the discussion which should be underway. But, you know, what is also, it's not just this. I mean, even the, as you mentioned very correctly, and we also read through it, that the delimitation, we are now waiting for delimitation to occur. We are then waiting for a census to happen. And when it takes shape, now, even vis-a-vis delimitation, there is a incongruity, you can say, because there are states which also have complained that if we have controlled our population better, that doesn't mean we lose out some seats for delimitation. So it is, that gets a bit complex again. I mean, it is not smooth. Having said that, BJP had it even in their manifesto in 2014 and 2019. I hope they didn't have a vested interest behind this to, you know, kind of drive a wedge through the India Alliance or something like that? Or is it really that this cause was very endearing to them? But they're really feeling from their heart that, yes, women's issues and their women's representation. So would it really drive a wedge is
what my question is. And I'm going back to that question again, Ms. Panja. No, I really want to understand that. Would it really drive a wedge? Because you are clearly saying that this is not going to be implemented before the delimitation exercise and the census that only happens in 2027. So we are essentially looking at 2029 for the implementation. Nothing happens in this 2024 general elections. So the Jumla jibe that the Congress is putting for the BJP, does the TMC agree to that?
No, actually, that is what we have seen. Historically, BJP has never, you know, fulfilled its promises. So that's why the word Jumla. But having given such a large window, I mean, long window, which allows complexities to set in.
Yes.
And be the process or be the thought, you see, they're not in a hurry for this. And really, to introduce at this time when it's almost like we are due for elections. 2014 to 2023 was also a huge, I mean, you had a long period of time. If you, it could have been introduced, it could have been discussed or whatever with its, you know, those clauses that they have put in. So, I think, and to call a special session in Parliament, which is a very small session, and the suspense with which it was, you know, whether it will be introduced or not introduced, not knowing the agenda. This Parliament special session opened up almost on a blank page, not knowing it is. So the unpreparedness or to, you know, as I said, as if to flummox the India Alliance or to the opposition to the BJP, to keep them unprepared. All these attempts speaks of something else. It doesn't speak that you are really, again, we are being used. Again, our rights are being used, or our representation, the issue is being used.
So will you call this a bluff by the BJP?
Differences, which should not be.
Will you call this a bluff, ma'am?
Well, let's see. No, no. Certainly, they have to make their intentions very clear. They have to make it very clear.
But they will say